All right. Getting started, boys. You know what I mean? Here. Okay. WHGE 95.3 FM. Coming up, the Open Eye. Hey, Vaughn, I see you, bro. All right. Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego digging. We do so because the chains of oppression in our people's minds are deep and difficult to remove. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM, the education advocacy station. Yes, indeed, we educate and advocate for our people right here. That's for sure. And as I have been doing, the first thing I got to do is, even though they don't want me to mention their name, I met a couple in the supermarket last week who are fans of the show. And they came up and told me how much they enjoyed the show. And when I was checking out, they insisted on paying for my groceries. Thank you so much. Look, it's more important to me that you watch and share the show than paying for my groceries. I really appreciate that. All right. Every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. And that's what we do right here on WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Hey, Sherry. Sister Tracy, I see you. All right. I always like to start off with a little history. As I do, we got a lot to cover today, okay? All right. August in 1967, this month in 1967, the movie In the Heat of the Night was released. Okay, starring Sidney Poitier. Now, Sidney Poitier, especially in the black community, was already a major star. I think this movie took him to another level. Everybody remembers the scene in the greenhouse where the elderly white man slapped him, and he slapped him back. He wasn't taking that. Yeah, I brought it up today because it relates so much to what's going on right now. Okay? We not taking it. Sidney Poitier insisted that the movie be filmed in the North because of an incident in which he and Harry Belafonte were almost killed by the Ku Klux Klansmen during a visit to Mississippi. That's why Sparta, Illinois was chosen for location filming. Nevertheless, the filmmakers and actors did venture briefly into Tennessee for the outdoor scenes at the cotton plantation because there was no similar cotton plantation in Illinois that could be used. Poitier actually slept with a gun under his pillow during production in Tennessee. Remember, it's 1967. I was 6 years old. He did receive threats from local racist thugs, so the shoot was cut short and production returned to Illinois. The story was set in a hot Mississippi summer, but filmed during autumn in Illinois. Many of the actors had to keep ice chips in their mouths and spit them out before it takes to prevent their breath from appearing on camera during the night scenes. Several scenes in the film of Virgil and Gillespie facing each other were shot over Sidney's shoulder, looking down on Rod Steiger, emphasizing the 4.5-inch difference in their heights and giving Virgil a subtle feeling of superiority. This was the first major Hollywood film in color that was lit with proper consideration for an actor with dark skin. Haskell Wexler recognized that standard lighting used in filming produced too much glare on most black actors and others of dark complexion. He toned down the lighting to feature Poitier with better results. Look, if you haven't seen In the Heat of the Night, oh man, you want to see that movie. That is one movie that, how can I say, like I said earlier, it took Sidney Poitier to another level in our community. WHGE 95.3 FM. Let me get the disclaimer out the way, and I got a lot more for you.
The views and opinions expressed on Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye, with your host, Patrice Gibbs. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, let's keep moving here. We're gonna keep moving today. The people who ban black people from schools, jobs, military, and public spaces, lynch Latinos, banned Asian immigration, locked up Japanese people, broke hundreds of treaties with Native Americans, and are now banning teaching that history. They want you to stop making everything about race. Ain't that a blip? Unless I'm mistaken, they made everything about race. You know, there's no single place on earth where the white man had ever been and lived in peace and harmony with the local people. Wherever they go, their first priority, their first instinct is to destroy, destabilize, and loot. And then they have a lot of nerve to talk about us being looters. This is a quote from the great James Baldwin. Listen to this. This is so relevant to us, even now. I mean, this quote comes from 1962. A lot of you will really, really understand this. Is going to really hit home with a lot of you. Okay? The crime which you discover slowly that you are guilty is not so much that you are aware, which is bad enough, but that other people see that you are and cannot bear to watch it, because it testifies the fact that they are not. You are bearing witness helplessly to something which everybody knows and nobody wants to face. James Baldwin, one of our greatest voices. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. This is your third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs, on The Open Eye. And last week, I had talked about France and Africa and what's well, I actually didn't mention. I had to cut it short because of time constraints and what have you. All right, but I promised that I would definitely talk about France and Africa this week, and not just France, but Europe, period. Okay. Okay. I don't know how many of you know what's going on in Africa right now. Niger had a coup a couple of weeks ago where they ousted their sellout president. Okay. Nigeria, which is rich in resources, okay, has declared that they are no longer going to allow Europeans, specifically France, their former French colony, to come in and just take their resources, and they get nothing out of it. All right, this thing is real deep, y'all. Let me tell you something. A lot of countries are following suit, okay, as far as their independence from their colonizers, from the neo-colonizing. Mali has removed French language as its official language. Big up, Mali. Mali ordered French NGOs to leave the country, and they did that back in November 22. Mali suspended French TV stations, RFI and France 24. And Mali expelled France's ambassador in January of 2022. Mali been on the case. French troops left the country in August of 2022. Mali has been a major supporter of Niger's coup. Nigeria has had enough. This is where I wanted to go right now. Yeah, you know what? Like I said, Nigeria's had enough. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Tell you what's going on here via deeper understanding, okay? Okay. The coup in Nigeria, it's not another coup as usual. This is what we need to know about the quote-unquote crisis. At first, the coup in Nigeria resembled others that have ruled West Africa in recent years. On July 26, soldiers detained Nigeria's president at his home in the capital, Niamey. Hours later, they declared that they had seized power. Foreign powers condemned the push, but they didn't do anything. And then the coup took a different course. The United States and France threatened to cut ties with Nigeria, endangering hundreds of millions of dollars in aid. The coup leaders told the United States to keep your goddamn money. That's right. The deposed president, Mohamed Bazoum, though detained, was at first able to speak with world leaders, receive visitors, and post defiant messages on social media. The guards keeping him under house arrest eventually confiscated his SIM cards, and they put a stop to that crap. Okay, this cat's nothing but a sellout. Neighboring countries threatened to go to war. Some to scuttle the coup, and others to ensure its success. The Economic Community of West African States, a regional bloc of countries known as ECOWAS, issued an ultimatum to the junta on July 30th. And yeah, that's right. They said, restore Mr. Bazoum to power within 1 week or face consequences, including possible military action. That deadline expired Sunday, and Nigeria's future and that of its 25 million people hang in the balance. The military leaders have closed Nigeria's airspace, citing the potential threat of outside military intervention. The neighboring countries of Mali and Burkina Faso have leaped to the junta's defense, declaring that they will consider any foreign move against Niger as a declaration of war against them too. Big ups Mali and Burkina Faso. What set off the coup last month remains really unclear. It remains unclear to Western people and to the Western press. It's quite clear to those that are tired of this neocolonialism. It's quite clear. Thousands of American and French troops are stationed in Niger to help fight a surge in Islamic attacks across the region. That's just their excuse for being there. They don't really give a damn about that. France declared that they will protect their interests in Niger. That's their country. What interest do you have other than stealing their resources? And of course, Britain advised against all travel to the whole country. Yeah, we don't give a damn. We don't care if you bring your British ass over there or not. Now, why does Niger matter? If the coup succeeds, Niger will be the last domino to fall in an unbroken line of countries stretching across Africa. From the Atlantic to the Red Sea, they are ruled by military juntas that have kicked out leaders. Military officers in the West African nation of Niger announced that they had ousted the country's president, throwing into uncertainty the future of one of the West's most reliable partners in the region. Okay? Yeah, one of their most real. You know what? And now, what is ECOWAS? West Africa's most powerful regional grouping. Represents 15 countries with a combined population of about 400 million people. Although founded to bolster economics, ECOWAS has regularly waded into regional conflicts. All right. Let me go here. I got this here. Let me see. Yeah, I know I got it here. I want you to dig this right here. Okay. Yeah. Bola Tinubu, who is the president of Nigeria, okay? He's the head of ECOWAS. Now, this French newspaper, what is it, Le Monde, one of their columnists declared, as the head of ECOWAS, the Nigerian president will have to show that he can be decisive on defense issues. Right? Bola Tinubu's credibility will depend on what he can do in Niger. His credibility to who? This was from Pierre Lepidi from France. Go to hell, Pierre Lepidi. Who the hell the French think they are? His credibility to France. He don't need no damn credibility to France. Are you kidding me? They declared that, his credibility depends on whether or not he supports the colonialists and attacks his brothers in Africa, in Niger. His credibility to who? Man, I had to catch myself right then. All right? What you have to understand is France's diminishing influence in Africa, and it should have been diminished. They've been a key player in the geopolitics of Western Africa. They've been a major thief in Africa. France's diminishing role in these countries has been compounded by Africans' turn towards Russia. This shift aligns with the broader conflict between France, Europe, and Russia over the latter's invasion of the Ukraine. In response, French President Emmanuel Macron has introduced a new Africa policy in an attempt to repair France's image and continue exerting influence on a rapidly changing continent. Damn right. It's rapidly changing. And I tell you what, those that depend on the resources of Africa but don't want to pay for them. That's Europe and America, the Western Alliance. Yeah, they are very frightened because somebody in Africa heard what Muammar Gaddafi said. One, we need to stop accepting the worthless US dollar in aid and in purchasing any of their resources, which they basically steal. Don't even want to pay them much of that worthless US dollar, because the US dollar is not backed by anything. It's backed by military force. That makes it worthless, because if that military force don't work, it don't mean a damn thing with your dollar. Okay? And with these, it's like, well, there are 54 countries in Africa. About 30 of them have come to the conclusion that they will no longer accept the US dollar for their resources. And that's a good thing. Believe that. That's a damn good thing. Because French are the worst enemies of the African continent. Remember the scene in what was it? The sequel to the Black Panther, where the French invaded Wakandan territory or ship or something and tried to steal the what do they call that? You know, the vibranium. That's it. They tried to steal the vibranium, and the Wakandans caught their ass. Yeah, in the film there's a scene. It depicts a group of bound French troops as they are escorted by Wakanda's Dora Milaje, you know, the warriors, to Queen Ramonda as she meets with world leaders inside the United Nations in Geneva. The men were being held accountable in an attempt to steal the futuristic empire's prized natural resource, vibranium. Okay, and it was from an outpost country in Mali. And they caught their ass and they made them hold accountable. This is what France does. This is what the West does. Okay, you have to understand what it is that France does in Africa. You know, Italy's Prime Minister Meloni, he publicly called out France for shamelessly exploiting Africa. The CFA franc is the colonial currency that France prints for 14 African nations, to which it applies seigniorage. Seigniorage, the profit made by a government when it issues currency. It is simply the difference in the value of the currency versus the cost of producing it. For example, if a central government bank produces a bill worth $10 and it only costs $5 to make, there's a $5 seigniorage. Okay? All right? All right. By virtue of which it exploits the resources of these nations. This is a child who works in a gold mine in Burkina Faso. Okay? The picture of a child digging in the mines for gold that the Westerners, that the colonizers are just going to steal. Burkina Faso is one of the poorest nations in the world. France prints colonial money for Burkina Faso, which has gold. In return, they demand that 50% of everything that Burkina Faso exports end up in the coffers of the French treasury. The gold that child was gone down in the tunnel to extract mostly ends up in the coffers of the French state. So the solution is not to take the Africans and bring them to Europe. The solution is to free Africa from certain Europeans who exploit them. And this is from the Italian Prime Minister Meloni. So even some of these Europeans are looking at these fools and saying, okay, you know what? Y'all, we wrong here. Okay? This is something from a brother known as Levert the Baseman, a TikTok influencer, and very research historian. Okay, for the French, it was cheaper to kill an enslaved African and wait for a new shipment to arrive to improve their living conditions. And over the course of 100 years, from the 1680s to the 1780s, over 1 million Africans were killed. They killed over 1 million people in the course of 100 years. Now remember, slavery started in Haiti in 1492. And at that time, Columbus and them killed over 8 million indigenous people. The death rate in Saint Dominique was ridiculous. In just 100 years, slavery killed 1 million people, and thousands more were killed by suicide because they knew death was better than enslavement. And women, newly arrived African women, committed suicide at a higher rate than anybody else. Not only were they forced to work in the fields, but they were also subjected to rape. Their bodies were no longer their own. They were reduced to little more than a substitute for some white man's hand. And those who were impregnated often didn't make it the full term. They either died during pregnancy, during birth, or they didn't deliver live births. My God, this is what the French did to African people. This just didn't happen in Haiti, but in every French colony around the world. That is their legacy. That's the legacy of the French. Their pastries and desserts that people love so much are a result of the enslavement of African people. So don't be too quick to salute the colonizer's flag, for it is soaked with the blood of our people. And they've had enough. Let me tell you something. Okay? Africa and Africans would be free whether they like it or not. It's coming. What's coming is inedible. It's about time. Africans are waking up. The sun is getting hotter, and nature is restoring balance. Yes, indeed. What a time to be alive. All right. Nigeria has had enough. Africa united. A story no one is really talking about is the massive pipeline that is nearly set to go online. Now, it starts in Nigeria. Nigeria, y'all better not, look, let me tell you what they're doing. Let me tell you something, okay? The West, okay, have closed the Ewok Nation's accounts, okay? They closed their accounts to try to force them to attack Nigeria. If they don't, they're going to cut them off financially. All right. Now, this pipeline that starts in Nigeria, it flows through Nigeria on its way up into Europe. Chevron of the United States have already invested $13 billion into this pipeline. And guess what? After the Nord Stream pipeline destruction, Chevron stepped up production to get this up and running. Now the people in Nigeria are saying, wait a second. Why are we going to allow a pipeline to flow right through our country so Europe can have natural gas? You are doing nothing for us. You continue to steal from us. Sorry, no more. And you know what? Europe is terrified. The United States already blew up the Nsoromma pipeline. Yeah, the United States did it. They try to blame it on Russia. Don't believe that crap. The United States did it, and they put their own pipeline in the action in Africa. Smart business move, huh? No, we'll just blow up the competition. Imagine Walmart doing that to Target stores. Yeah, we're just going to blow up those stores. Now you got to shop at Walmart. Now Nigeria is saying, hey, sorry, you're not going to use our country to transport your natural gas into Europe. Get the hell out of here. So Europe is facing catastrophe with no Nsoromma pipeline coming from Russia any longer. And now the threat of this pipeline being shut down through Africa. This was their salvation, this pipeline. And then add into it uranium and Europe's nuclear power. The United States gets over 50% of its uranium from Russia, despite all the sanctions the United States has placed against Russia. They left the uranium alone, didn't they? They left that off the list. You bet your ass they did. They chose to sanction every other thing, but they left uranium off the list because it's needed so badly by the West. They desperately need it. Why is the United States so heavily dependent on Russia for uranium? That Putin could literally flip a switch. He could flip a switch, literally destroy the American economy by turning off the lights. A major backup resource of uranium is Nigeria. The French, the United States, have been essentially stealing uranium from African countries for decades. And again, these countries are saying enough is enough. We are sovereign countries. Get the hell out. We're going to keep our own minerals and make our own decisions, and Russia is giving them that option right now. Now, I know a lot of you saying, well, that's just some more white people coming out. And here's one thing you have to know about Russia. Russia has never colonized one country in Africa. Never. Russia has never been a colonizer in Africa. And they say, we want you to keep your sovereignty. We want you to be an independent country, not a slave to the West. Now check out what Africa Bureau Chief Musa Ibrahim explained how the people of Africa want to gain back their wealth, their minerals, stop giving it away to America and Europe. This is what he said. What people want is to gain back their wealth, their uranium, their gold, their iron, their phosphate, their oil, their gas, and this scares the West. Because this means that true democracy will take place in Africa when people actually own their own land and the wealth of Africa goes not untaxed, unsupervised from the mines of Nigeria to the banks of Paris and the financial sectors of Britain. And he's right. Nigeria's coup isn't happening in a vacuum. This isn't a singular event. They're now pushing back against this neo-colonialism in a larger multipolar world, saying this unipolar order that America has ruled for many years, seeking to keep your boot on the people of Africa, is not going to stand anymore. Africans are seeking to regain their national sovereignty. Africa saying, hey, we are rich in uranium, but we don't get the benefit from any of it because you steal it from us. We will enrich our own uranium, and we will sell it to you, and you will pay for it. No more theft. Africa is in the middle of a revolution right now. Tove and I, WHGE 95.3 FM, Ngala Jack.
Brother E.D., what's good? Shay, Tracy, Vaughn, what's happening? Doing what I do, you know what I'm saying? Open Eye Radio Show. Yeah, you know I got 17 jobs. I'm just, don't tell nobody. Hey, yo, Kurt, what's good? Ain't nothing. I'm doing what we do. 95.3 FM. Yeah.
Open Eye. WHGE 95.3 FM, the open eye. Joining me on the air, my partner in consciousness, Nsoromma.
Yeah, guys,
You.
boy.
Chop, chop, brother. How you doing? How you doing?
Cooling, man. I've been running around this morning, man.
I heard that.
What?
I heard that.
Yeah,
like
it was
you
good,
said, I know you
though.
got 15
Hello,
jobs.
world. 17.
17?
17. 17.
That's a busy man over there.
I keep them all in order. All in order. Yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir.
good.
You know,
I hear you too.
yeah,
Dropping the science
yes,
a little
sir.
bit, you know
Yes,
what I mean?
sir, brother. You know, and I'm gonna tell you something. Everything we're talking about today,
Right.
it's all gonna
Intertwine with each
intertwine.
other.
Thank you,
Okay,
brother.
I got
It's all
you.
going to intertwine.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
uh-huh.
Now, of course, like I mentioned earlier, imagine your history
Right,
is so vile,
right,
so evil,
right.
okay, that you want to outlaw the teaching of it and bring in some false history, whitewashed history, you know, and of course,
No,
Florida.
you got to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's deeper than just erasing their history.
Mhm.
It's trying to make people shut up.
Yes.
It's about you having the freedom of speech.
Mhm.
It ain't even about their history. You have the right to talk about anything
Word.
and teach anything.
Mhm.
So
What,
it's
what?
much deeper than
What,
the
what?
Erasure.
the racial aspect of what's going on. This is really dealing with everybody for real. This is a freedom of speech thing.
Yeah.
That can, if they say, you saying, listen, you ain't paying me enough money, the job is worth this. Shut up.
Yeah.
I'm giving you what I want to give you.
Right.
Nah, man, come on, man.
Yeah. And you know what it makes me think of? It
What?
makes me think of this little story right here.
What?
This factory worker,
Right.
okay, he was outside taking a break,
Right.
and his employer pulled up in a brand new Lamborghini.
What?
Yeah. And, you know, he said, wow, boss, that's really a great car.
Uh-huh.
And the employer responded, you know, if you keep coming to work every day, on time, putting in hours, putting in overtime,
Right.
helping increase production, next year I can get a new one.
And yo, that probably went over his head.
Yeah.
Because he's so doctrinated.
That's word.
And listen, you was talking about how the pipeline, they was trying to use the country for the pipeline. Africa got tired of the usury.
That's what they got tired of.
They was being used throughout the whole process. You know
That's
what I'm
word.
saying?
You know, I'm going to get through this quick because, you know, our time is limited here. It's already 1:15. Okay.
Right.
Because I got a lot to get to, but we got to get to something special here. Of course, Florida
Right.
has this indoctrination in their education where they want to have this PragerU, okay, cartoon showing the kids. They've already incorporated this into their educational system, along with teaching that slavery was a benefit. And in this cartoon, they have a white man narrating the voice of Frederick Douglass. And basically, what he has Frederick Douglass saying is that slavery wasn't that bad and that it was necessary, okay, for the forming of the nation and what happened, okay? Yo, that should be outlawed. Where y'all at, Democrats? Y'all need to outlaw that crap, okay? Because they're lying on Frederick Douglass, okay? Frederick Douglass in no way, all right? Remember Frederick Douglass' 4th of July speech. What is Independence Day to the Negro? Not a damn thing, because we weren't free. Now, that's what, you know, that's why we advise against even celebrating the 4th of July. And the guy, Prager, who put together this PragerU indoctrination,
Right.
He's the same racist son of a bitch, all right, that complains that, you know, it's something, you know, I just don't understand why we don't have the freedom to say the N-word. We have the freedom to say the N-word, okay? But remember, freedom of speech comes with a certain level of responsibility in which you're going to face consequences. All right? And that consequence is that you're probably going to get your ass whooped. WHGE 95.3 FM. Hey, y'all. I got something for y'all to hear. Listen to this. Wait, let me get it up.
Yeah.
Sir, that there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it. No federal court, state court, or city court will bring an end to it. It's something that the black man has to bring an end to himself.
That was Malcolm X, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you seen that? You seen a touch of that in Alabama at the joint. When
That's why I played it.
yeah.
Okay. Now, they've arrested 5 people. Okay. All the people that was involved in that, they arrested 5 people. Okay.
And I'm surprised none of them was black.
Yeah. Well, one of them.
One of them was black.
Yeah.
When I heard it was none of them was black. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I thought all 5 would have been black. You understand? That's how.
One of them. Yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's always flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is always flipped when it comes to us. But it was so many views on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. And for those of you, and I don't know how you can by now, that don't know what happened.
A lot of people don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's so crazy to me. What happened in Montgomery, Alabama, was the co-captain of the ship Harriet, which was a commercial ship, where they had parties on and they toured, up and down the Alabama River and this, that, and the other. Okay, he asked. Okay, he was on the ship and he commandeered a smaller ship to go on the dock and ask these white people, who, by the way, were always over there dabbling and going on, right? And they've been a problem for years on this dock. He told them that they had to move their little ship, and they attacked the brother. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's been all kind of memes going on. The brother threw his hat up. Hey, big ups to the brother that stood up to them. You see people, when he threw his hat up, it was like the bat signal. And black people came from everywhere. That's word. Aquaman, don't forget Aquaman.
The real Aquaman pulled up.
That's word. When have you ever seen a black man swim to a fight?
Right.
That's word. He came to put in work. And for those of you that say, oh, he just swam to shore, he didn't do nothing, you need to watch the video because he was slamming ass. That's word. He was putting in work. That's what he was doing. Now, the question came out, and like I said,
right.
The problem with this was, with these white people, was this black man was not going to come up and give us orders and tell us to do a damn thing. Mm-hmm.
That's where the white privilege come in.
That's where
they was expecting that to get him over, and when it didn't, they didn't realize the suit that he had on. That's how out of it they were. Right. They didn't even realize he had on a captain's shirt.
Right.
And the costume.
Mm-hmm. And no, they're not. They weren't going to accept the authority of a black man.
Right. Telling them what to do, and that's crazy.
And the crazy thing is, they're not sure if race was a factor. Are you out your damn mind?
Ooh, but I'm saying that's how they always downplay it.
Oh yeah,
it's never about race when it's us. But if it was something that was dealing with any other nationality or something like that, it would have been about race.
Yes, sir. Now Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed, he said he wants justice for his city in this ruckus and what have you. I mean, we're not sure if it was about race. Mm-hmm.
What?
The hell? Well, I'm not surprised about this. For those of you that don't know, Stephen Reed, who is a Democrat, who is a black man,
right?
All right, mayor of Montgomery. I don't know if he's the first black mayor, but I think he is. But what he stated last year
Uh-huh.
was that, you know, he's not worried about no black votes because black people ain't got no money. He don't give a damn if they vote for him or not because he got enough white people backing him.
Now, how is he supposed to be even in running?
Yeah,
With that kind of mentality, how do you bring the world together?
that's word.
Come on, man.
That's word. Sorry ass. And for those of you,
That's crazy.
yeah, that don't think, oh. And let me tell you something. The white woman that got hit in here with the chair, okay, she had that coming. And she'd have stayed her ass on the boat and not got in the fight, she wouldn't have got hit in here with the chair.
She
So I
was
had no
doing
sympathy for her.
a lot of the fighting.
Yeah,
and
she was.
scratching and kicking.
Yeah, and scratching and kicking. And remember who these racist white women are. These are the same racist white women that raised Ku Klux Klan members, that raised people like Dylan Wolf, who went into church in South Carolina and murdered 9 people. These are the same white women that nurture the most racist bastards that come along. All right? It wasn't about race. It wasn't about race. Well, when these people went to the hospital, all right, they looked around and said, there's too many N-words in here. They actually called the cops because there was too many black people on the medical staff.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't hear stories like this. You only get it from the Open Eye Radio show.
That's word.
Yo, that's crazy,
damn
yo.
true.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
I think the country wanted divided like this so it can continue to make this money. You know what I'm saying? It all boils down to the economy.
Of course it does.
And we're the ones that's putting $1 billion into the economy.
What's up? Oh, okay. Yeah. You know, I tell you, Teray, he named off some of his favorite events
Right.
from that. All right, writer Teray. He said one of his favorite things was the 3 brothers skipping as they slid in to join the fight.
What?
It was that sort of skipping that let you know.
Do you know what that skip means?
Yeah.
Do you really know what that skip
I
means?
know what that skip means.
Hey, yo.
That skip
And
means
they-
that I'm all with the smoke.
What? Bring
Yeah.
all the smoke, fire, everything.
Mhm.
Listen, when they get the skip, they mean in business.
That's
And
right.
That's like a ritual.
Okay. Now let me tell you something. Why a lot of these black people didn't get arrested. Okay. Because it is legal to defend yourself in Alabama. Okay. Alabama law makes it legal to defend yourself or others that are in distress or being attacked. It is legal to defend someone that's being attacked in Alabama. They didn't make that law up for black people, but black people damn sure benefited from it, didn't they?
Nah, they need to have that law all over.
Oh yeah.
And then when black people see some injustice, we can respond as a unit, a pack. You know, even animals protect each other.
That's what.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, you know, have we ever loved a black swimmer more? Could we be prouder of Scuba Gooden Jr., the 16-year-old that swam his way to the fight? Somebody raised him right. And as a cheer, you know what? Look, the chair is already on T-shirts. It's on sneakers. You can get some earrings with the cheer on it. Yeah.
Look how the economy is prospered from it.
From it. That's
you know what I'm
word.
saying? The
Yeah,
economics
that's
just
word.
blew up off of that. They made at least $4 billion
Already.
already. Just think of that.
Yeah.
And not only that,
Mhm.
but Cuban Gooding Jr., the swimmer, made
Yeah,
history.
Scuba. Yeah.
Scuba made history.
Yes,
He's
he did.
forever in the history books.
That's word. That's word. You know? And I tell you, you know, now, like I said, this thing gets real deep. Now, for those of you that say, well, we are not our ancestors.
Right.
Hey, let me tell you something. Our ancestors fought back. Okay? Our ancestors fought back. And
That's how we got to this point. That's
Yeah.
how we able to speak our mind.
That's word.
Because of their fight.
because of their fight, because of their willingness to fight back. Okay? That's word. You know? And here, let me tell you something, because this is real deep. Like I said, it all intertwined.
Give it to me, bro. Give it to me.
Okay? So the place where the brawl happened in Montgomery, right? And I want to thank Brother Emmett Real, I forgot his name, but
Thanks, Brother Emmett.
Yeah, he broke this down. So the place where the brawl happened in Montgomery, Alabama, which is now being called Bloody Sunday or Bloody Saturday, happened at Montgomery's Riverfront Park. Okay? So if you look at Riverfront Park, it's off the coast of a river, of a river, of course. All right? Now let me tell you something that happened 2 hours before this whole thing jumped off. There was a group of sisters that marched to the riverfront, all right, and they commemorated our ancestors by throwing rose petals in the water and thanking our ancestors for their efforts to advance our cause.
Okay.
So that's something else, all right.
Now, the spirit always was traveling on the sea.
Yeah, always. So if you look at Riverfront Park, you see it's off the coast of a river. What river, you might ask? Well, it's off the coast of the Alabama River, which flows right through it. That part of Alabama River where the Horseshoe Bend is, where Riverfront Park is, it used to be an auction block. Our ancestors were transported up that river, unloaded there and sold. And for context, so many black people were enslaved and sold in this part of the Alabama River by the riverfront that they had to build depots to warehouse them like objects until it was their time to go to the auction block. The place where the Alabama brawl happened used to be a place where our ancestors, maybe some of those black people's direct descendants, were sold like objects, like animals. And was possibly done by the ancestors of those bleach demons who sold our ancestors. Our ancestors were there. WHGE 95.3 FM, the open eye. All right? That's why it's so deep. The spirit of our ancestors were there. They called on our people. All right? And it's happening all over the world. This is just one aspect of what changes are going on.
And it's about to come.
And they're about to come. All right? Let me ask you something. Have you ever said, if I could show you what I see? It's not a statement born out of arrogance, but sometimes out of frustration. Sometimes out of excitement. Sometimes out of great concern. When you've been privileged to hear the ancestors and they show you the view from the bridge, you will tell someone, if I could show you what I see. WHGE 95.3 FM, the open eye. And as we always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority.
Who treat you as an option.
Open Eye, WHGE 95.3 FM. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I got
Situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause...
Yaga, yo, what's good? Shay, Jordale, yo, Vaughn, David, yo, what's good? Curtis, Tim. Hey, listen, thank all y'all for tuning in. All the names I ain't mentioned, you know what I'm saying, who be tuning in to us. Thank y'all too, you know what I'm saying? Yo, Pat, you got anything to say? Hold on.
Yes. Global African supremacy is coming. All right? Get on board. Get on board. Because the world was a much better place when the African ruled. No doubt. Peace.
Also, streaming on platforms, you dig? Yeah. Nsoromma.